Welcome to the programme. I'm Natalie Graham. We start tonight with the costs of Operation Brock, the traffic system designed to keep Kent moving when there's disruption at the Channel ports. According to figures obtained by BBC South East, more than £3 million was spent on Brock last year, when lorries heading for the continent were parked for a total of 136 hours. The leader of Dover District Council has described the cost as phenomenal. He says alternatives are now needed, as Simon Jones reports.
The motorway that doubles up as a lorry park. Operation Brock sees part of the M20 readied to hold HGVs should that be needed, accompanied by a contraflow system with reduced capacity for other traffic. It's supposed to keep the roads of Kent moving, but in nearby Harrietsham, many see Brock as costly and chaotic.
It's very detrimental, I would say, to most of the areas that it affects. You can't get anywhere.
The traffic is carnage. I've been working up the road, so I've been coming through the A20 quite a while, and yeah, it's not great, that's for sure.
Government money well spent, I don't think.
You're not a fan?
I'm not a fan of Brock, no.
A BBC Freedom of Information request to National Highways has revealed Brock was in place for 69 days last year in 4 separate deployments. During that time, it was used to park lorries for 136 hours, the equivalent of fewer than 6 days. The cost, more than £3.1 million.
It seems to be an awful lot of money, and then you divide that by the number of hours, etc. It gets worse and worse and worse. So, you know, if they've got the £3 million to spend on that, I think they should be spending some of that on sort of looking for much more permanent solutions.
Those behind Brock say when traffic is busy at the Port of Dover and Eurotunnel, Brock is the only option currently for limiting the amount of freight on local roads. But is that a good use of cash?
It depends what you clarify as value for money, because nobody has costed what the impact would be without Brock. So without Brock, we would have severe congestion in Dover, Folkestone and Hawkinge, people not being able to get off their drives, emergency services not reaching their call, businesses not being able to operate.
National Highways declined to be interviewed, but in a statement said, "We know Brock affects residents, which is why we continue to work with government and the Kent and Medway Resilience Forum to develop longer-term traffic management solutions." The haulage industry believes that should mean more lorry parks, though plans often face strong local opposition.
Modern vehicles are quieter, they're not the dirty vehicles that you may have seen 30, 40 years ago. And, you know, unfortunately, space for these vehicles is a necessity. Drivers need to rest, they need to be safe, they need to be looked after. And at the moment, many drivers, particularly when, you know, queuing and delays caused by Brock, are forced to put up with conditions that we wouldn't accept in many other industries.
But the thought of Brock being back again at Easter has led to some looking for alternative ways to get around.
Well, Operation Brock is just the latest system designed to cope with disruption at the Channel ports. It was introduced as part of Brexit preparations, and it replaced Operation Stack, which, you may remember, involved closing part of the M20. Well, Brock's main purpose is to stop queues of lorries building up on smaller local roads, and any driver who tries to avoid the designated route faces a fine of £300. Well, let's cross to Harrietsham and talk to Simon. It is half term, Simon, and there's no sign of Brock this week.
Well, the authorities predicted the traffic wouldn't be too bad this week, and looking at the A20 tonight, that seems to be the case, so Brock not needed. But I think in the months to come, we may well see Brock being used to park lorries far more frequently than last year, and that's because new EU border checks are due to be introduced fully at the Port of Dover and Eurotunnel in just under a couple of months' time, and that will mean it will take longer to process each car. The government is looking potentially at tweaking Brock, giving it a later starting point, and also at the possibility of lorry parks. But at the moment, the authorities say Brock is the least worst option, and for people in places like Harrietsham who aren't fans, that's not a great selling point.
Indeed, Simon in Harrietsham, thank you.